This is the Zeekr 7X. Now that means two things. It's yet another Chinese new car that comes from a brand you're not particularly familiar with and which has an alphanumeric model name that doesn't really mean a lot. And the second thing is it's another 2.5-ton electric SUV that can accelerate like a supercar. This one can do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.8 seconds. Anyway, we're out here in Portugal testing it for the first time, so let's have a look around it. Okay, so the 7X is a large premium SUV. Now, Zeekr in Europe has actually already got 3 models out. They're on sale in the Netherlands, Norway and Sweden, so unless you're in one of those markets, you won't know a lot about them. But the other 2 models are familiarised by having headlights high up on the bonnet. This one doesn't. It's got a strip of lights and sensors across the front. Actually makes it look a bit like a Toyota BZ4X, which is another random jumble of letters and numbers. But anyway, it's not quite as distinctive as the other Zeekrs. It doesn't have, like I say, the high set headlights, but it's not ugly either. We've got another bank of sensors down the bottom. It's a smoothed off look. You've got the Zeekr logo here, which won't be massively familiar to us in Europe yet, but hopefully it will be soon. So it's okay looking, but I think Zeekr's still looking to find its corporate identity, shall we say. There's not anything here immediately that shouts, this is a Zeekr. Okay, so moving to the side styling of the Zeekr 7X. Again, sort of a nice smooth shape. Wheels on this one are 21-inch because this is the dual motor privilege AWD. This is the top of the range one. Another thing that gives that away are these orange brake calipers. You don't get that on the single motor Zeekrs 7Xs. So that's an indication that you're looking at the top dog here. It's quite a smooth shape. You've got cameras punctuating for various ADAS systems. And they've just sort of tried to design it with a sweeping coupe-like roofline, but not losing any of the interior practicality. The headroom's supposed to still be the same in the back as a normal SUV. It's about 4.8 meters long and it's got 2.9 meters between the wheels. So there's quite a lot of space inside. That's quite important to the Chinese market, and that's a feature you get with a lot of the cars from that country. So again, it's a nice looking thing without being particularly standout, but there are some nice features and touches on it. So that's the side. Let's go and look at the back of the car. Again, not massively distinctive. It's got a coast-to-coast light bar. Every car nowadays seems to have these. You've got your model badge here, 7X. The company name is up here on the rear windscreen, but it's quite a smooth looking car. It's not particularly standout. Again, it is a large SUV, a large electric SUV, quite smooth. So while we're here, let's have a quick look in the boot. Powered tailgate, obviously. And in here you've got 543 litres of space with all the seats in use. It's a nice flat loading lip. We've got some underfloor storage for your cables, that kind of thing. On this one with the air suspension, you can raise and lower the car using buttons on the side if you need to load heavy stuff into it. So get the lip of the boot down a bit lower. It's a boot, it's fine. Big, spacious, does a job. Very nice. So one of the points that Zeekr likes to make a big deal about is its technology levels, including these self-opening doors. So here we go. Bit slow. Anyway, here we are. We're in the Zeekr 7X cabin. Now, previous models from this company, that's the 001 and the X, which is a smaller SUV, both have very nice cabins, good quality finishing, look nice, very technological. Same thing applies to the 7X. Material finishing is very good up front. We've been driving the car for hundreds of kilometers. It feels very solidly put together. It's a real premium item. Everything you can lay hands on feels good. So first impressions are good. Obviously technology is a big part of it. We've got a 16-inch touchscreen here. That's 3.5K resolution, and that's pretty good. We've got some good systems on it. It's a bit fiddly. The menus could be a bit laid out a bit better, but generally it's quite a good system. There's a very nice digital instrument cluster in here, perfectly fine. a huge head-up display for the driver in front. So yeah, on the technology front, it's pretty good. Ergonomically, slightly less so. You've got fiddly buttons on the wheel to sort out the mirrors. It sorts out the steering wheel coming in and out, the height of the head-up display. And to do that, you've got to tap on the screen first and get it into various setting menus. And although there's physical switchgear down here, there's not a lot of it. I mean, this opens the glove box on that side. This is a programmable one. And interestingly, this is what looks like the drive mode switch, but that only changes throttle response between the three modes. It doesn't do anything for suspension or steering or brake. So a bit curious, they're going to look at that and potentially put the whole package onto that button. So it's a kind of mix of, it's ergonomically okay, quality-wise very good, it's very spacious, very practical. Storage everywhere. There's storage in the arm just here. There's a nice rolling covered cup holder area here. There's an absolutely massive twin hinged storage area in here. Look, I can get my arm almost all the way in it. It's got twin wireless smartphone charging pads just there. There's storage underneath here. The door pockets are big. There are drawers underneath the rear seats. It's got lots and lots of practical touches in here. So it's a good start from the interior. When you sit in the cabin of the Zeekr 7X, it does feel like a high quality item. And apart from a few niggles with the way the buttons work and the screen, we're quite impressed by it. Here we are in the back of a Zeekr. Now, one of the things that you normally get from a Chinese car, loads of room in the back, and that's true here. You can see loads of knee room. That's my driving position. I'm just shy of 6 foot tall, and obviously not a racing snake either, so I've got plenty of room back here. Got loads of headroom. That's despite the fact that you get a panoramic sunroof as standard on every model in the Zeekr 7X range. So you're really comfortable back here. It even looks like it might take 3 people because the centre seat is not too bad. It's not too high and firm like it can be in some cars. And there's a completely flat floor down there as well. Again, material quality doesn't drop off in the back. It feels as good back here for all the fixtures and fittings that you can touch as it does in the front. You've got a centre armrest here, and in there's some USB ports. There's a USB-A and a USB-C, some more cup holders, a little bit of storage there. Yeah, it's as nice in the back. It's as nice in the back as it is in the front. One of the slight annoyances of the Zeekr, though, and this is not the only car we've experienced it in from this company, is their window switches seem to be the wrong way around. So ordinarily, to drop this window, you'd want to pull the switch back towards you, I think. But that instead brings this blind up slowly. So you have to go the other way. It just feels counterintuitive, and that's the same for all the window switches. Push it forward to drop the window. Pull it back to raise it. Seems a bit odd. Oh, the blind's coming up. Okay, we're on the road now in the Zeekr 7X, and as I mentioned earlier on, this is a top dog version. It's the dual motor all-wheel drive privilege, so motor on each axle. That means it's got 630 horsepower and 710 Newton meters of torque. And despite weighing 2,535 kg, not inconsiderable, it can do 0 to 100 km in 3.8. We will come on to speed in a bit, but this thing is ridiculously quick, even by the standards of 600 horsepower plus electric SUVs. The main priority with it is to have a nice, comfortable ride, and to a degree, it can do that. It's a little bit lumping at low speed. That's because this top model does get air suspension with adaptive dampers, whereas the others have passive dampers and coil springs. So yeah, it's a little bit lumping at low speed. It can be a little bit wallowy in the corners when you're sort of really pressing on in the vehicle, but generally its ride comfort is pretty good, especially when it's rolling at sort of 60, 70 km/h like this. It's quiet, there's minimal wind noise, you get a bit of suspension noise. It can occasionally thump through sort of big imperfections in the road surface, so it's not perfect on rolling refinement, but it is very, very good. And it's good visibility out, you know, it's a bit of a letterbox view out the rear of the car, but the rest of it, good visibility, very easy to drive as you would expect of an SUV like this. The problems with this car come for us in terms of how it handles. Now, people who are going to drive these sort of things aren't going to be thrashing them to within an inch of their lives. We get that, but Zeekr wants to talk about the fact that it is a performance company as well, and as I say, this is the 630 horsepower model. There are two single motor models. There's one with a 75 kilowatt hour battery or one with a 100 kilowatt hour battery. That's the range champion. That one can do more than 600 kilometers to a charge. This one they're positioning as a bit of a sporty drive. It's sort of supposed to be a bit exciting, that kind of thing. And if we're honest, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There are settings on this screen that you can go through. You know, you can change the steering weight through 3 modes. You can change the power delivery through 3 modes. You can change the brake regeneration level. You can change how the damping is. It's all different like that. But we're not feeling a huge amount of steering feel difference between the modes on how they, you know, how it responds to the steering. You get a little bit more weight in sport than you do in normal and then comfort, but you don't get an awful lot of feel. And same for the suspension. It rides okay in sport, but can be a little bit gritty, but it doesn't feel appreciably harsher or worse to travel in than it does in comfort. And we always say, if you're going to have multi-modes for settings for the chassis, there's got to be night and day between them, a bit of light and shade. You know, you want the comfort to be really soft and supple. You want the sport mode to be powerful and, you know, and feel sort of composed, and they don't really do that. And what you end up with is a car that feels like it's got way too much power for its chassis. It's quite unresolved between the front and rear axles. So there's a lot of the time where it feels like two separate cars acting together, a front wheel drive car at one end and a rear wheel drive at the other. And that can make for some sketchy moments, shall we say, in the corners, some points where it's a bit, I mean, it is quick, you can get it to flow down the road pretty well, but it's just got some moments where really, you know, the grip levels feel off. That's surprising because it's on Michelin Pilot Sport tyres, so it's not like it's on cheap tyres, it's on a really good set of tyres, and they're thinking of using Continentals as their main form of tyre. So yeah, they're talking about using Continentals as the main form of tyre, and therefore, you know, the car's not running on substandard rubber, it's got plenty of grip. It just feels like it needs some sort of software recalibration at the moment. It's a little bit too unresolved in the corners. You get a lot of body roll. If you're sort of going into corners, the cabin of the car leans right over. There's pitch when you're accelerating. There's dive when you're braking hard. So it's not the most rewarding driving experience. This is definitely an SUV that you want to keep just within itself. You don't want to push it to the limit. You want to sort of just drive it within itself and better revel in the comfort and quietness. And as we say, that's not a major problem for SUVs. They don't have to be massive sports cars, but the company itself, Zeekr, is positioning this as something of a sporty SUV. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like an incredibly powerful set of motors in a chassis that can't quite cope with them. For that reason, we think possibly the single motor rear wheel drive variants might actually be a better bet, especially one with the same 100 kilowatt hour battery as this one, which means you get, you know, more than 600 kilometers of range. In this one, it's 543 kilometers of range, and charging speeds are really, really quick because it has something called the golden battery. Strange name, but basically it's not just the fact that this car is an 800 volt architecture, it's that it really can charge quickly. I think the maximum charging speed it can charge at is 470 kilowatts, which is higher than anything we've got in Europe. We tend to only have 350 kilowatts in Europe. So they're saying in sort of 13 minutes you can get the battery from 10 to 80%, you know, of its state of charge. So it's a very fast charging. It's got, as I say, good range, about 543 kilometers in this specification. But you're probably better off with the single motor model instead. But let's just come back to something we've touched upon, which is speed. Now, I'm going to put the car on this screen where it is quite a faff. And the car is now beeping at me because I'm not looking at the road. There's a monitor here looking at me. It's beeping at me because I'm not looking at the road. So I'm going to put the car into sport mode, power delivery. And it's just astonishing. I mean, this is 50 km/h. That's 100. It's astounding how the numbers roll up on this dashboard. Even at 630 horsepower and 710 newton meters, the published figures, they feel a bit conservative. Very few electric SUVs we've ever been in, even high power ones, feel as ridiculously strong in a straight line as this thing does, especially above 100 kilometers an hour. It really is quite astounding how fast it goes from, you know, middling speeds to very high speeds. So that's where we come back to this thing of, it does feel like quite a bit too much power, maybe in a chassis that doesn't need it. It's impressive, and you can impress your friends with that sort of speed, but does it need it? Do you need it? Do you need, you know, 630 horsepower and 0 to 100 km in 3.8 seconds? Possibly not. All models have at least 400 horsepower or 416 horsepower, so it's not as if you're getting a slow car if you go for one of the single motor Zeekrs. So it's very, very impressive how fast it is, and we've had fun driving it today, but not necessarily for the right reasons. It just feels like it's not quite ready yet. It needs a bit more fine tuning. But, you know, if you just drive it like this, keep it within itself, very comfortable, very quiet, possibly not very efficient. We have been getting something like 33 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometer from it, which is not great. But we are driving it a bit out of its comfort zone today. Zeekr does claim 19.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So for a 2.5 ton twin motor electric SUV, that's not unacceptable levels of electrical efficiency. So that's our first look at the Zeekr 7X. Now, obviously the big thing with this car is we're waiting for its wider rollout across Europe. So it's only in 3 markets at the moment. The next 24 months, it should be in another 7 markets. Hopefully it will join other areas of Europe sooner rather than later. Pricing is going to be key. We know it's about 54,000 euros, or it starts from that in certain markets, but that's not relevant to all of them. So how it's priced is going to be key to this car. There's a lot to like here. It's got a quality interior. It rides very well. It's comfortable. It's incredibly quick. It does feel like an awful lot of power in a chassis that can't necessarily always handle it that well. But it's a promising start from the Zeekr 7X, and with a few little tweaks and software touches here and there, you could be looking at a very good premium SUV here.